cable. Great quality. Now with the new look.
All right, folks, welcome back. Let's go our next story. We are definitely living in interesting times. So while we thought that we had heard the last on the petrol subsidy, a minister has let it be known that the country is spending a lot on importation. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, says Nigeria spends as much as $600 million monthly on petrol importation. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Senate has raised questions over the 2021 approval of 1.5 billion naira for the turnaround maintenance of the Port Harcourt refinery. To the Red Chamber, it's unfair to treat government or public businesses or companies as orphans. Sounds like a familiar refrain.
Yeah, it is very sad that at this point you are still importing, petrol after decades and years of, turnaround maintenance. This thing called turnaround maintenance, I've been hearing it since when I was in primary school, and now I have children, and they are still hearing turnaround maintenance.
Your children will have children.
So I've been hearing turnaround maintenance. So even by now, I feel that would have gotten another phrase or words for it. Maybe rehabilitation or something. But the turnaround maintenance is always coming with billions of naira for them to turn around. And I remember
makes me who can forget General Buhari's, that's talking about Buhari's first coming, the Minister of Petroleum Resources at the time. Tam
West. Yeah.
Turn around.
So for the importation, let me go to the first one, which is the importation, $600 million, monthly. So it's huge. It's quite huge, and that is where this government will start to play its role of trying to see how they can reduce this $600 million. I know the last visit to Dangote refinery, he was actually saying something about this turnaround, that his own refinery, the maintenance will be done every either 3 years or 4 years, and for Nigeria, we've been doing our own consistently with money, but we are not getting results.
Yeah.
So for now, I feel the government will have to start looking at how they can, reduce this amount of importation of fuel. We know that all our refineries are not working.
Yeah.
But we are spending money on doing turnaround. The last administration, I remember they even borrowed money to even do turnaround maintenance. And they told us that the refinery will be ready. I know several times that the CEO, GMD, came out to tell us when the Port Harcourt refinery will come on.
They keep shifting the post.
Exactly. In fact, you have forgotten that they even said August. Petrol will start running, and we are waiting for August. They think August will not come, but August is here. So I think Nigerians will begin to ask questions. And one of the questions is, why are we importing? Why are we spending so much money on this importation? When we know we have refineries that we're supposed to have turned around for us to start, getting petrol. Up to now, we are still spending this much.
Yeah, Paul, the bystander would be scandalized that with the coming into the fray, the picture of the Dangote refinery, importation of the premium motor spirit would be a thing of the past.
That was what was expected. But, the shenanigans going on in that sector. You heard about the complaint of Dangote himself, that he couldn't access crude for a very reasonable amount of money, that the IOC, national oil companies, were much interested.
International oil companies,
yes. I don't know. But you see, the truth of the matter is that there are people who don't want Nigeria to make progress.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the first thing that comes to mind...
And they should be ashamed of
They should be ashamed of themselves. People, when people behave like this, I think people who do that are very narrow-minded. Are they Nigerians? Are their children Nigerians? Do they think of their children? Do they think of other people? Why should everything be about your pecuniary benefits? And so you can make a lot of money, the rest of the country can burn. So you don't care. Okay, if the country burns, how do you want to live in the same country? So now I think, when I think about something like this proverb, this Yoruba proverb comes to my mind. Always comes to my mind. The child of a meat seller that feeds on that eats bones.
Yeah.
You understand? It shouldn't happen. I think that, first to start with, I think the reversal of the sale of the 4 refineries by Yaradua was a colossal mistake. It was a colossal mistake. If you remember, Obasanjo had, planned to sell.
Mooted the idea.
You understand? But Yaradua changed it. Now, government has not been able to do anything. Turnaround, much money had been voted into a turnaround, but the refineries could not be turned around.
Okay.
So there was no sincere. Look, this thing is not rocket science. If you want to get this thing done, you can get it done. There was no sincerity in the so-called turnaround maintenance intention. There was no intention. That's what I believe.
Okay.
Now, if there was truly, why is it so difficult for us not to have those refineries working?
Okay.
So,
Asukwa, the second leg of the story, the Red Chamber is stepping into the fray. Do you trust what it hopes to do?
Well, I will say yes and no. Yes, because they are querying. And no, because at the end of the day, they will just throw the matter under the table, and at the end of the day, we might not even get any results. Because so far, if you look at how the National Assembly has been behaving, they've not really come out. Most of their probes, you just hear reps probing, Senate probing, the so person querying. At the end of the day, we don't really get anything concrete. Nobody has been prosecuted for doing wrong. So when we hear things like this, like they are querying 1.5 billion, how they, at the end of the day, we don't get the results. And so Nigerians don't even trust them to query, and it's a very big problem, because when the National Assembly begin to have trust issues, it means that even, because they are representative over there, it means that then there's a big problem. So they have to begin to look at themselves. Are they serving the Nigerian people, or they are serving themselves? Because what Nigerians feel is that anytime the National Assembly says or the Senate or the reps are probing or querying or investigating anything, at the end of the day, we just, a citizen, do you still remember when one professor fainted during the NDDC probe?
And Asukwa, do you remember?
Today, we've not heard anything about that. They said they were going to bring forensic analysis.
Yeah,
we have not heard
have you forgotten, Dada,
I
hope you have not forgotten the off your mic issue.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The NDDC.
Off your mic.
You understand? So till today, we've not heard anything.
The whole thing appears like you are acting from a script.
Exactly. So the Senate has to come out clean in this matter. If they really want to probe this $1.5 billion that was given for them to turn around that Port Harcourt refinery, they should make sure that everybody who is involved in it, whether they dip their hand inside the cookie jar, and at the end of the day, nothing is inside the jar. Those people should face prosecution. But if they are just going to tell us, okay, they are going to query, and at the end of the day, nothing will happen, let them not even come into the news at all. Let's just know that we do not have a refinery. Nothing is there in the refinery. And then we begin to pray to God to continue to be importing. I don't know how they feel that a country as big as this is importing fuel. It's not, it doesn't make sense.
All right. Paul, another word that comes to mind here is choice. These are the choices we are making. Consider this. We export a barrel of crude oil out. It returns returns with the premium motor spirit, and yet a barrel of crude oil has up to 42 byproducts. Nobody is asking.
Yeah, because there is no.
If you get
No, I understand. I understand what you are trying to say, and that's why I'm saying that.
Nobody is talking about aviation fuel, kerosene, grease, and
every other.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is, I sometimes think there is no genuine intention to develop this country because these things are not rocket science. Now, if you can fix the issue of refinery, the pressure on the naira.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Keep a lot of dollars in.
And Asuko, hear this. I was in secondary school in Ogoni land when we had been flaring gas. Yes. I'm talking about the mid-60s. We still are flaring gas. When we keep paying lip service, we'll stop flaring.
You know, we keep
it's another of the choices we are making.
Questions, but no satisfactory answers. He talked about the Senate the other time, but the Nigerian legislature has been reduced to a barking dog that cannot bite. Because people sometimes when people go to to face a panel, maybe a Senate panel or House of Rep panel, you see the way some of them talk. I remember a former governor, a former minister who was called, and he was, exchanging words with one of the panel members, saying that your master, he was talking about the former president, the current president now, your master, your guy, he has never been. He has never been a minister or something. You remember? I'm talking about Ngige, if you remember. And he was exchanging words with Yayi.
No, with James Faleke.
No, was it James? Okay, with James Faleke, I beg your pardon.
Yeah,
it was James Faleke. Yeah. Was that necessary, for God's sake? People don't take. So it behooves, and I think, because legislator doesn't have the power to enforce. But the legislator can recommend, can call on the executive to do something. Often the executive fails to do anything. The legislature does not have the power of enforcement, does not have the power of prosecution. Yes, you can make the investigations and make investigation and open can of worms. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
But beyond the can of worms, beyond the opening can of worms, the truth of the matter is that it behooves the executive to do the necessary. You understand?
All right, Paul, fix your mic, because we'll need your voice. Yeah, Asukwa, let's look at the body of the story. The minister must be familiar with the figures. So when he says we are spending about $600 million in importing fuel, he knows what he's saying.
Yes.
But does this not raise a question in the mind of the viewer? But I thought we had done away with fuel subsidy. And so
this is not subsidy. This is
no. If subsidy was meant to go, it means everything related to it be gone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That now subsidy is gone. So whatever we are subsidizing petrol on is gone. But for this government, they cannot even say they want to say, okay, what are they going to use, as a substitute for petrol? And that is a major problem. So they just had to start, okay. But I know that from the little that I know, from the little that I've read, I know, the importation that the money we were spending before for importation has even dropped to this amount.
Okay.
So it wasn't this particular amount.
It wasn't
last year.
This much.
You understand? So, but they need to still import petrol. And who is importing? The only person and the only set of people that are importing maybe NNPC and the other JVCs, and doing that. But for now, they will keep importing. Whether it's subsidy or it's not, because this government will tell you that there's no subsidy. They are not subsidizing petrol. So I will only take what they are telling me. If I do my investigation and I see that they are subsidizing, I'll come here and I'll tell you that they are subsidizing. But for now, they are spending $600 million, to import petrol to Nigeria.
Which could otherwise have been plowed into something else.
Yes, I think that is national. I think for this government, from what I have seen so far, and the little that I have read about this government, is like the president is big on reducing petrol in the system and increasing gas, the use of gas. Because if you look at it, the president is spending much more money in CNG Now, I don't know if you guys listened, either yesterday or 2 days ago, Obasanjo was saying that Nigeria is not a oil country, but a gas country. So it means that we have so much gas.
We have so much gas.
We have so much gas that we can explore, and then we can
which we can explore and exploit.
Yes.
Yes.
And even export.
Yeah.
And make more money. You understand?
Yet cooking gas, the price of cooking gas is rising.
Exactly.
You know,
so I feel that this government...
It's a paradox of sorts.
Serious one. So I feel the minister himself will, by the time he looks at this figure, he will know that, okay, there's a big problem. So how can they reduce this figure and see which other alternative that can they make so that these figures will reduce drastically, and then they look for other alternatives. But I know that this government is really big on gas, and I feel this will reduce in a couple of days.
If I may, talking about gas. Okay. Now, I think there's another problem here. I think the efforts of the subnationals are not good enough. You talk about president, you talk about CNG. I do remember that the governor of Ogun State did talk about bringing CNG this, CNG that. We have not seen anything.
No. I've seen the buses.
No, okay, we have not seen much from the state. That's what I'm saying. And people are complaining. Look, there are increased allocations to the states now. But we do not see the evidence of that. So everybody just focuses on the center.
Paul, I can confirm to you, I've seen the CNG-powered buses.
From
Ogun State.
Ogun State.
The Ogun State, yeah.
No, now, just about Ogun State. Thanks for the information. What I'm saying is that you don't find all of that in every other state.
Well,
at least we don't know. If it's happening, we don't know.
Gentlemen, we have less than a minute to go. Quickly, is it possible to answer this? If you pour oil on troubled waters, what do you pour on troubled oil?
You pour trouble.
We need a lot of troubleshooting here because Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, is also the substantive Minister of Petroleum Resources. And he's been in the game, so he understands the dynamics.
Yeah.
So
because people are, let's face it, people are suffering. That's why they had to go and protest. People are suffering. Too much Turenshi, too much grammar. The man in the street doesn't understand it, but he understands hunger.
Oh, yeah.
And he knows that he shouldn't be hungry. There's a government that should fix his hunger problem. So we can speak big English here, discuss macroeconomic issues, and all these things do not concern the man in the street. He wants to eat. Then let him be able to eat.
All right, then.
That's it.
Gentlemen, let's move to our last but not least story. You know, in a peculiar environment like ours, it would seem that the search for someone to blame is always successful. It becomes more curious when no one in particular takes responsibility. The fuel scarcity experienced in some centers in our country has an explanation. Nigerian oil marketers have shifted the blame to the #EndBadGovernance protests. In a statement by the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, this resurgence of long queues at filling stations in major cities across the country. No trucks moved petroleum products during the protests. So the more so on Thursday and Friday, 1st and 2nd of August. Asukwa, are you persuaded here?
Yes, I feel I'll stand to agree with the independent marketers. Because
the logic.
Yes, because it would have been risky for crude tankers to fly the road at that period when, just imagine, just start thinking, a tanker moving to Kano, for instance, during that period, or going to Kaduna that period. It would have been disastrous. And we are not talking about something that when once it happens, government will take money to replace either your truck or your products. So everybody was just being careful and wise. In Lagos, for instance, if you look at it during that period, not that people didn't hear that, oh, you can move around. But people were just being cautious. I'm not going to go and open my shop and somebody will come and burn it. You understand? So that is the same, tactics or strategy that most marketers, these particular marketers were doing. I think even at some point, the only filling stations who were open during that period were either NNPC, because I know that some NNPCs were open. And that is because they've already had products.
Yeah.
Okay. So they were just opening at some point, they will close, open and close. I know some of them around my area. That was what they were doing, you know. Mobile, I think one or two that I saw, but immediately they will just close their gate and then they will move. You know, so people were just being very careful. And that period, if you notice, filling stations refused to even sell in jerry cans. Because they don't know what somebody will come
the motive is.
Yeah, of course. And then electricity was a bit poor, and so many people were even sleeping in darkness. You know? So people were just being, the marketers were just being, very careful. And I believe in what they are saying.
All right.
Because nobody wants to put his own business at risk when he knows that the
Well, are you persuaded?
Yes, fully persuaded.
Asoko is not speaking for you.
No, he's not speaking for me. The answer is a resounding yes. Although there are accusations you can make against Ip Man, that in other context. But if you also know that it wasn't
considering this particular,
if you know that it wasn't even only filling stations that shut down, even banks did not open.
Yeah.
So many businesses closed. If you remember what happened, we have not recovered. Psychologically, we have not recovered from what happened during the NSAS. We know the wanton destruction, level of destruction that took place during the period. The best DNA lab, forensic lab,
in
Lagos was destroyed, and it's not been replaced up till now. I do not think it's been replaced. I think they said it was the best in Africa.
Yeah,
in sub-Saharan Africa.
Sub-Saharan Africa. Thank you. You know, at that time, and it's not been so many people lost. Many people have not. Their people have not recovered from the carnage that took place during the NSAS. So it was a wise decision for businesses, marketers. Ip Man controls 80% of the filling stations in Nigeria. And of course, shutting down actually meant it would significantly affect the business, you know.
Yeah.
So let's just hope that we'll get this right.
Yeah,
now, if people want to...
Ip Man says next week we'll return to normal.
Yes. And I think even during that period, people that got...
believe it?
I like to believe it. So there should be no reason why.
I think even I believe that because I know some filling stations I had to drive into one that I know that they had a very long queue, during that period, So today I had to drive in and buy. So it means that it's easing off a bit. So, and it's going to be across. It's going to take time. This one is not that there are no products for you to at the depot for you to go and load.
Yeah.
Their products is just for them to go there, load, and then take to their different, retail centers. Well, they made this is genuine. It's not that there's a major scarcity. It's just that they were just being preemptive. Yeah. They don't want anything that would, cause harm to them. It's business. I can't have a business venture, and at the end of the day, I know that there's a problem. I want to now go and put my hands inside the problem. No, so it's just a wise decision by Ip Man to tell their members, hold on, let's see how things are, or things will go. Then afterwards, I can bet you maybe by this weekend or so, all the retail outlets would have fuel.
But gentlemen, the choices we have made, we should change them.
Yeah, I think
if I go to the brass tacks, as they say, the choice about flaring gas, we should stop it. The problem in the oil industry, we can solve the problem. They are generally man-made problems. So we don't need to import the answers. The answers, remember a former American president said, we don't need the Republican answer or the Democratic answer. In Nigeria, we don't need the APC answer, PDP, Labour, or ABGA. We need a Nigerian answer because the problem is here, the answer is here.
Yeah, a lot of people have traveled out to see what is happening there. And the countries you have not been to, you have been there by reading. There are so many countries you and I may not have been to, but we have been there by reading what happens there. Now, we've seen countries where people decide that things must work. You understand? And they have their own homegrown solution.
Yeah.
Not necessarily copying whatever you see in the US or you see elsewhere. Because every country has its peculiarities. You understand? You understand? So you look at your situation, look at your peculiarities. You say, okay, let me learn from this place and that place.
Okay.
And then let me bring everything. What can I take? What can I leave? So it's about choices. And the truth of the matter is that we cannot expect to do the same thing. You cannot be doing the same thing the same way and expect a different result.
Just as we cannot, we started out by being the #1 crude oil producer in Africa. We have ceded that position to another Angola.
Yeah, you know. Do
So
you know why it happened? It was because of me and you or our brothers who have decided to go this other way, in the sense that they decided to go into oil theft. You know, and that is where I would, because when he was saying, I was just thinking, if we have strong institutions, you know, people like that will know that they can't even try it. And that is why the countries that we go or we read is because their institutions are strong. So you can't just take anything for granted. You can't just say you want to go into crime and then you won't face the consequences. You know, so that is where Nigeria, that thing that you are saying, that Nigeria has to be, Nigerians really want to see, where our institutions will be stronger than either you are APC or PDP or Labour. You understand? So that people will not begin to see those parties as being stronger than the institution, the EFCC of this world, the police of this world, the Nigerian army and all that. You know. So by the time our institutions are strong, even the judiciary is strong, nobody will want to go take into crime.
I'm hoping, if you permit me to wax a little lyrical, biblically, when the Christ said they will collect from those who don't have and give to those who have, so the rich will be richer. Don't you think it's happening with us?
No, of course it's happening. And don't forget, while it's happening,
because we
like
have
I told
allowed
you,
it. We have allowed it.
No. Like I told you, but I think there's somewhere also, either in the Bible, I'll look for it, that also you must not also forget even the poor. Because at some point, one day the poor will also come for the rich. And the past 8 days has given us that sign in the north. So it is something that all the leaders will have to begin to sit down, especially the leaders across Nigeria. It might not, it just happened, what they just did was to test the mic in the north. You can see even when they were telling them, it's enough, it's enough, it's enough, they didn't want to hear until they now said, okay, they declare curfew, and in that curfew, they still had to start sending the military to, man some strategic places, So now the government across should begin to sit down and begin to reflect. The children that you refuse to educate today will turn against you in future.
Tomorrow. Yeah.
So the best thing is educate them properly now so that they become your friends in future. Because if you do not do it in future, they will become you know what they will do. I won't say it here because you know what they will do.
Okay, in conclusion.
So what I want to say is, see, Nigeria is not only bedeviled by poor leadership, we also have very poor following. The truth of the matter is, it's time Nigerians begin to look at the actions of their leaders and change those that need to be changed during elections. This money politics. I mean, somebody comes, gives some boys probably 200,000 or 500,000. So these boys, they go to eat, you drink at a joint. That doesn't solve your problems. You drink, you patronize a commercial sense.
No, Paul, it solves your problem only from this seat to this door.
Exactly. It solves nothing. We are still there, we're still back. So I think Nigerians must begin to say, look, forget about ethnic sentiment, forget about tribal sentiment, or any kind of sentiment. What is the scorecard of this person? Let's ask ourselves honest questions. Can this person fix it? What is his pedigree? What has he done?
All right, I'm asked to thank Asukwa James for your time.
Thank you so much.
And Paul Dada, I'm asked to thank you for your intervention.
You're welcome.
Okay, that's our show for today. But not to worry, if you missed any part of this, not to worry. Later tonight at 11, there'll be a repeat broadcast of the program. And of course, don't forget to join us every Sunday from between 1:30 and 3:30 for a 2-hour stretch. And just to inform you, we are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Bye-bye now. Take care.